Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to our first virtual training session of 2025. It's that time of the year, so let's talk about the science behind winter driving. As we talked about before, there are statistics that prove that you're at more of risk of personal injury during the winter months. We have reduced daylight hours, and then, of course, we have the weather playing against us, snow, fog, ice. That makes things a little bit more treacherous. One of the big dangers during the winter is black ice. And even though we call it black ice, that's usually because it's kind of clear, freezes over the blacktop. But on concrete, it could just look like a little bit shiny. So anytime the temperature dips below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 centigrade, uh, there's going to be ice whether it's visible or not. Now, black ice develops by the thawing and refreezing of snow and ice. Just this morning, coming in, there was just a little tiny layer going down the road. And I'm thinking to myself, that could be a little slippery. Then all of a sudden, my rear end starts to go out from behind me. But so you got to be careful. It doesn't take very much ice to take away your control of your vehicle. It's sort of like the Zamboni machine. They clean off the top and lay down a little layer of water, and it refreezes pretty quick. And you need to be aware of intersections, traffic lights, cars that are sitting there, the exhaust is coming out, and there is some water vapor in there, some moisture. And so when that comes out, it hits that pavement and freezes. Also look out for areas where there are dips. Cold air is always heavier, it sinks, and the water will always go to the lowest level. And again, shadows, the air will be cooler. And the first place we got to worry about in the winter is going to be the overpasses and bridges. Uh, Going under an overpass, they create a shadow, and any melt from above will result in ice down below. We talked a little bit about how black ice forms when snow or ice melts and then refreezes. It can become kind of transparent and it's hard to see. So watch yourself and your speed going down straightaways. You really can't be sure even a little dip in the road could be holding some moisture that can cause you to slip and slide. Again, shady spots, ice is going to form quicker if it's not getting direct sunlight. Going into a curve, into a turn, slow down before you get into the turn. Okay? Don't wait too long. uh, and like we said, intersections, places where there's stop signs, traffic lights, again, the exhaust from vehicles will hit the ground and freeze. And always watch out for bridges, overpasses. Um, Again, they're not connected to the earth, and so air is blowing underneath and things are going to freeze a little bit quicker. And just because you have a four-wheel drive vehicle, uh, it may help you get going a little bit, but it doesn't help you in stopping at all. So watch out for icy conditions. Race car drivers will tell you it's not always driving as fast as you can, but driving as smoothly as possible. And this gets really important when we're talking about slippery road conditions. Don't hit your brakes too hard. We don't want our wheels to lock up, then we lose control. If we accelerate too quickly, we're going to get the wheels spinning, and again, we'll lose control of our vehicle. If you do happen to start spinning, take your foot off the accelerator. Don't whip the steering wheel around violently. If you start to swerve, point your wheels in the direction that you want to go. Now, stopping distance in different types of weather. Again, this is for a passenger vehicle. and they say on a dry road at 35 miles an hour, you need anywhere between 60 and 100 feet. When we add rain to it, well, we're going to add another 20 feet or more to that. If it's packed snow, we've got another 180 feet or better to stop. And if we have glare ice, it's at least 10 times as hard to stop on an icy road than a dry road. So one thing we always need to do during the wintertime is increase our following distance. If you take a look at the map here, you can see that a lot of our service area is uh, where we can expect to have road ice. So Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Iowa, all these good spots around the country, we are in the icy zone. And that's the same way for walkways. So you need to be careful when you're driving, but also getting in and out of your vehicle. Make sure you take your steps down off the truck and, just don't come flying out or you'll end up on your backside. Engineers have come a long way to make driving in slippery conditions a little bit more tolerable. We have traction control on some vehicles, and what happens here when uh, the car notices that one wheel is starting to spin, it's going to reduce the power to that wheel and increase it to the other wheel that's not spinning. So you have a little bit better control. So in an icy conditions, without traction control, one wheel is going to spin like crazy, the other one's going to be moving forward. Now, in the with traction control, we increase the torque to the wheel that's not slipping. Uh, the brake pressure is regulated on that, and where the wheel is spinning, we cut down so that wheel stops spinning. It's not as a loose cannon out there. Electronic traction control. Again, it's going to increase the torque to the wheel that has some grip, and it's also going to reduce the torque going to the spinning wheel and also apply some brake pressure. So we can slow that wheel down and maybe we can start getting a little bit more of a grip. Now, our automatic braking system, the ABS, is there to prevent the wheels from locking up. Uh, a lot of times we were taught before ABS to, uh, you know, jam, to hit the brake intermittently, just so we don't lock up the wheels and start sliding. Well, this takes care of that situation for us. It helps keep us under control while we're braking. We won't stop any faster, but we're going to have a lot better control of where that vehicle is going to go. So the ABS system, basically what it does, it locks down the wheel. Once the wheel stops moving, it senses that, it releases the brake fluid so the wheel can roll, and then it'll apply the brakes again. And this can be up to 15 times a second. If you've ever had the ABS engage, you could feel that pumping going through your foot as you put your foot on the brake. Now, the important thing to remember with ABS, like we said, you're not going to stop as fast, but you will be able to control the vehicle because it won't be spinning out of control. So when you start to feel the thump on that brake pedal, remember to keep constant pressure on there. And you should have control so you can steer the vehicle around whatever's in front of you, hopefully. So there's a lot of engineering built into automatic braking systems. We've got sensors to measure the speed of each wheel independently, a control module that's going to adjust the amount of brake fluid going in each direction. So a lateral acceleration sensor that will tell the master control if you're going sideways. So we can try to correct for that. Here's an illustration about how ABS works for you. Now, without ABS, we're not going to be able to turn, we're not going to be able to steer. The wheels lock up and we head in the direction that the car is pointed. Whereas with the ABS, the intermittent braking of our tires gives us more control about steering the vehicle where we want to go without spinning out. So remember to keep pressure on the brakes if you start feeling that thump from the ABS. Now you'll see here there's a difference in how we lose control of a front wheel drive vehicle and a rear wheel drive vehicle. In a front wheel drive vehicle, if we're making a left turn, we're going to go farther out to our right. We'll lose control that way. The front end, the whole vehicle heads in that direction. Whereas with a rear wheel drive, we're more likely to have our back end come out in front of us. Again, that's something that we don't want. Okay, for driving in the snow, remember drive as smooth as possible. Accelerate and deaccelerate slowly, avoid skids. When braking, here it shows having the heel on the floor and pressing with the ball of your foot. Keep steady pressure on the brake, especially if you have ABS. We're not going to pump the brakes like we used to do before ABS. Don't stop if you can avoid it. Try to gauge how long the light is going to take. Slow down coming up to it so this way you don't have to come to a complete stop and try to regain your momentum. Now when you're going uphill on snow-covered roads, try to pick up your little extra speed before you reach the hill and then let inertia carry you to the top. And once you reach the top, reduce your speed and proceed carefully downhill. And like we said, it could take anywhere between, up to 10 times more space to stop on icy roads than it does on a dry road. So increase your following distance. Normally we'd like to see 3 to 4 seconds. Open it up a bit so you have maybe 8 to 10 seconds. Slow and steady. It's not a race. Be prepared for winter driving. Make sure that you have, all your regular safety gear, first aid kit, reflective triangles, that good stuff. But, have an emergency blanket, have an ice scraper, sand or salt to get you some traction, maybe jumper cables in case you have to help somebody else out or you're going to need help. Make sure you have water and non-perishable snacks if you end up being stuck for a while. You should also consider to make sure that your phone is fully charged before you take off. Another thing people like to do, they'll talk about that, have a coffee can, a candle, and a couple of matches. You can light the candle inside your truck to help produce a little bit more heat if your engine stops. So have a shovel to help yourself dig out. Make sure you have extra clothing, dry clothing. Again, you're going to lose heat quicker when you get wet. So get into dry clothing as soon as possible. So here you can see a fairly well-packed emergency kit. Flashlight, shovel, scrapers, heat packs, little hand warmers. They're great for keeping to that. Your extra dry clothing, hat and gloves, kitty litter, salt for traction, and some high-calorie snacks if you're going to be somewhere for a while. All right, so stay safe while you're out on the winter roads. If you have any questions, you can get hold of me, talk to your supervisors, your managers, they can help you out. But remember, stay safe, stay smooth on the road.